Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World. I'm Lee Anderson, the Reform UK Member of Parliament for Ashfield, and on the show tonight, he's back straight from the allotment, Stephen Pound. He's been handing marrows out like nobody's business. He's given a big marrow, actually, to Lizzie Cundy, who's our proppy guest tonight. He's left in the corner. He's back because we're desperate for guests. Anyway, this week we saw the 50,000th Channel migrant to cross the Channel. This is despite, Stephen, Starmer keep bleating on about smashing the gangs. He's been saying it for a year. The numbers are up by nearly, 40-odd%. 50,000 have crossed the Channel. Mate, what's going on? Is he going to smash the gang?
Well, let's get a couple of things straight. Firstly, no government in the history of this country has come up with an answer to this problem. The Tories had 14 years to sort this out, and they came up with some half-baked Mickey Mouse scheme about Rwanda. I think they sent one person to Rwanda. If we send 49 people back to France, or 50 people, that's 49 more than they did. No, the reality is, when you've got a couple of people who are desperate to take over the leadership of the Conservative Party, going 26 miles out of their way into Dieppe and Calais to be horrified and shocked, as you did with Jenrick and Phil Pierce.
Let me just stop you there, Stephen, for 1 minute. You see, Lizzie, I've just asked him a really, really simple question, and he's doing anything but answer the question. So take a breather, Stephen. Think about the answer. I'll come to you, Lizzie.
Typical politician. Look, he's going on about the last 14 years.
You can't deny it.
Keir Starmer has actually been in for over a year, and the situation has got worse. I mean, the arrest of the smugglers has actually gone down by 16%. So this smashing the gangs, he couldn't even smash the top of his boiled egg, Lee. This is the trouble. And now, if you noticed, he stopped saying it, and he's given it all to Yvette Cooper, who now looks like a scared rabbit with a hernia. I'm telling you, they have not got a clue, and they've given 800 million to the French. They've not even got their feet wet. And now we've got the small boats on steroids. It's 60 foot and can put on, I think, 107 people. I mean, this situation is getting from worse to a nightmare. This is a massive crisis, and Keir Starmer hasn't got a clue.
Of course, Stephen, Liz is quite correct, isn't she? It's getting worse and worse and worse under Starmer.
Well, it's got worse and worse. I mean, there's no question about that. I can't argue. It's got worse. You know, as I said, we've still not reached the figures under Boris Johnson, which is pretty horrendous there. But look, here's the reality. It's very easy to come up with, and I think I'll attack my own party for this, to actually come up with some slogan about smash the gangs. It's as bad as stop the boats. What we want to do is have people be a bit more sensible, a bit more rational. The only way we can actually deal with this issue, firstly, is by processing people as quickly as possible.
Oh, no, Stephen, no. We're not having this, mate.
We cannot have young men sitting in hotels doing nothing all day. The devil makes work for idle hands.
More quickly does not stop people coming over the Channel.
It does.
It doesn't, Stephen.
Because at the moment, if you, I mean, I just try to imagine for a second that you're some smuggler trying to actually sell the product. You know, get to the UK, keep your head down for 3 years, bish bash bosh, you're sorted. If you come to the UK, you're going to get processed within 3 weeks, and then you get sent back. That kicks the bottom off the market.
Sent back to where?
Albania, I don't care where. Don't forget, we just come up with a list of all the countries that we can now deport people to. Afghanistan and Tehran and Iran are problems, I agree with you. But don't forget, people are coming from Eritrea now, it's the biggest number.
Look,
why can't we send people back to
Stephen, you're doing exactly what your leader's doing, not listening, not reading the room.
And not answering the question.
And not answering the question. You're slippery. I'm sorry, it's Keir Starmer. Have you taken lessons from him how to avoid questions? You really have, Stephen. Look, this is such a worry. We're seeing protests everywhere. Near me, in Aldershot, they're mothers that are scared for their own children to go out. We've got a hotel near us that's full of migrants, and they're scared, and they're wearing pink. They're protesting, peacefully. Yet they've been called Nazis. They've been called far right. This is all because Keir Starmer has used this word, and he doesn't want to do anything about it. Look, the first order of any government is to look after its own people. This government is not doing it, and you are as bad, Stephen Pound,
Lizzie,
because you're not admitting that this is a massive crisis, and he hasn't got a clue what to do.
Okay.
You've lost your way. I'm going to buy you a sat-nav, Stephen, because you really don't know what you're saying. This country, the first thing they're worried about is immigration. 64% of even Labour voters, they're worried.
Well, it's not a sat-nav you need, it's probably a telescope, because I want to know what planet Stephen's living on. But come back, Stephen, come back
to Earth, Stephen.
The planet I'm living on is the planet real world. You tell me, look, hang on a second, Lizzie, I respect you, and I think you've got some marvellous metaphors about my sat-nav and that, but in reality, what did the Tories do in 40 years? Who's got the
Hang on about the Tories
hang on a second.
Now, Stephen.
Sorry, there's
Stephen,
three major parties
you can't keep harping on about the Tories. Tories. That's why they didn't get into government. We knew they were disastrous, and that's why Labour got in by default. It's now Labour have been in a year, and things are 50% worse than they were
Lizzie,
this time last year. They haven't arrested the smugglers. He said he was doing all this secret stuff, smashing the gangs. He's done absolutely nothing. The 16% is down on arrests of arrest on gangs. So tell me, Stephen, what is Keir Starmer doing?
I'll tell you
because all he's doing is looking like a scared
Keir
rabbit.
Starmer is not grandstanding like some of these people wandering around Calais and Dieppe. What he's doing is he's actually putting the building blocks into place. He's actually working with the Germans to actually stop the boats being brought in from China. He's working with the French to actually have a deal to send them back. The idea
he's giving a load of money to the French.
You can stand on the white cliffs of Dover and scream all night, but
the French are doing nothing. The only time they did
work with Europe.
Stephen, let me talk. The only one time the French did something on the boats was when they had a camera crew. Let's be honest.
Stanley Knife.
They were Stanley Knife. and we've had our own, Shadow Home Secretary that went to Calais and he had a machete thrown at him and all sorts. Look, this is getting out of hand. This is a crisis. You and your government do not want to do anything about it.
Do you agree with me, Stephen, that any people arriving across the Channel should be immediately detained in secure camps, not put in hotels to roam around the streets of places like London, where I live in the week? They should be detained, ready for deportation, and not allowed to roam free.
That's exactly
yes or no?
Yes. That's exactly what happens in Holland. In Holland, you arrive at Schiphol, you don't even leave the airport. You actually get processed there and then. But the reality is, what Lizzie said is actually a very important thing in amongst, the brutal assault on me, which I take on the chin.
Brutal assault? How dare you?
What she said was about the way that people's attitudes are changing. The Labour Party, in the past, has been traditionally very squeamish about this particular issue of immigration. Look at Germany. Germany took more immigrants than any other country in Europe. They've now closed the border. Friedrich Merz has said enough is enough, except he said it in German, obviously. But the reality is that all over the continent of Europe, people are saying we have to do something positive. And we are doing it in this country by working with our European colleagues, with Interpol, with the international law enforcement.
What, by giving the French a load of money, 800 million?
Lizzie, if that stops it...
They haven't stopped it. This one in, one out. This absolute fiasco.
let's talk about that.
I mean, come on.
On Lee's important
A merry-go-round in the Channel. It's not going to even touch the sides.
Look at the RAF Marston. We're actually doing this already. People are coming in there and being processed and they're not leaving Marston. But every other time we try to use some ex-MOD property, people are up in arms and they're screaming blue murder.
They are.
Yeah.
We've got veterans living on the streets, Stephen. Of course they're going to be up in arms.
I'm sorry.
Don't you see that?
We're not looking after our own people, and do you not understand why people are protesting?
I do.
Why people are worried what's going on in their communities. They're scared. They're sick of their taxpayers' money going to this when we've got our own veterans lying on the streets. We've got our own homelessness. Where no one cares. We are not a charity, and we're bursting at the seams.
Hang on a sec. We're
only a small island. We can't take any more.
Lizzie, today is VJ Day. Today is the day we remember the incredible sacrifice of the forgotten army against the Japanese 80 years ago. Every council that I've ever been involved with has always had a priority allocation system for veterans and ex-servicemen and women. Every council worked, and your council has done the same. You prioritise the housing for ex-servicemen and women. That's what we should be doing. But let's not say that it's an either or. You can actually have firm border controls, and you can actually sort out the processing of immigrants and still support.
No, our veterans are being let down. For our own veterans not to be looked after,
give me one
have been
example.
kicked out of their, where they're living. Yeah. Patrick Christie did a feature on it. You should watch GB News more. You might learn something, Stephen. And they're not being looked after. The first order of any government is to look after its own people, and we are not being looked after.
Let me just ask you a simple question, Lizzie. How do you feel as a young woman,
Thank you,
walking around the streets, knowing that these hotels exist in our communities with these young men lurking around, young, unvetted, undocumented men lurking around in our communities? How does that feel for you?
I'm scared. I can't do what I used to do. I used to do a lot of events, doing all the interviews. I'd park up in London, no worry about walking to my car on my own. I can't do that anymore. I am literally scared. I've had my phone stolen twice just from walking down the street, them coming up on these e-scooter bikes. One time I had a load of Afghani men surround me, and it wasn't for a man that happened to see it, came into my hand, or else I just... you know, God knows what would have happened to me. I'm fearful, I'm scared, like a lot of women out there, and scared for the future of my kids. My own son has left for Australia because he just doesn't know what is going on in this country. He doesn't feel there's a future for him anymore.
Well, I'm obviously sorry to hear that, Lizzie, and you've got my sympathy, and I actually feel a great deal of sympathy for you on that, and a lot of women, young women in your position. But we've had crime on the streets of this country for decades. It wasn't a golden era. Dixon of Dock Green was a character in a TV show, so he wasn't a real person.
So, mate, just come into the future.
What we get back to, Lee, is where you and I and Lizzie, I think all of us agree, if you have a group of young men in a hotel with nothing to do all day, then the devil will make work for idle hands. You've got to get these people processed, and if they go back to Albania or to Eritrea, so be it.
Steve, 80% of these young men are being granted asylum status. Where do they go then?
They're not. It's not 80% of the young men.
It is.
No, it is.
And they're getting all the perks. They're getting dental care, you know, NHS treatment. They're getting all the perks. I just found out. Let me just tell you, my friends at this break took their kids to Legoland. They were charged like £25. Migrants, they're allowed in for £2. They're getting all, that is fact. They're getting, you know, I even read in the other, I think it was the Daily Mail, they're getting free hair extensions and haircuts and all sorts of things.
I'm sorry.
You would love free hair extensions, surely, Stephen.
Well, I was saying...
There is no £2 weigh-in for immigrants at Legoland. I can categorically assure you about that.
Check it out.
I'm sorry.
Fact.
I know that's not a fact. But look, there are a lot of this so-called dental care and medical care, checking for TB and infectious diseases. Absolutely right. If we've got anybody in this country, don't forget, in America, you cannot set foot in there.
Can't get a dental appointment, Stephen.
Yeah.
And my friend's been waiting on the waiting list for nearly a year to get her back seen. And then, you know, she's paid in since a young girl into this country, can't get seen. And then she sees what's going on with the migrants. It's not fair.
Listen,
do you not understand people's anger?
I'm sorry.
Do you not understand their frustration? Do you not understand why people are leaving this country?
I'm sorry, you can take 50,000 immigrants out of the equation. You've still got 6 million people in this country. Taking the immigrants out of the equation is not going to provide massive new resources for the NHS. Come on.
This is where you and your government are going so wrong.
No, it's because,
read the room, see what's going on under your nose, see what's going on in people's communities.
Where do you think I live?
Right, guys, we'll have to close it there. What we've learned so far in this debate is Lizzie is very angry and Stephen Pound will not be getting
I'm on the
hair
floor,
extensions anytime soon.